Hi and welcome to another episode of Kilimo Diaries. My name is Violet Njeki and we are still down at Meru County. I'm in Meru County, right?
Sure.
Yes, I am in Meru County and I'm in a very massive farm of avocados. We are going to learn what type of avocados we have here today, but I'm going to let my guest of the day, my mkulima of the day, to introduce himself. Then we can go on from there to learn about how he's been able to grow his avocados to where they are at this point. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Please introduce yourself and tell us where we are at.
Hi viewers. My name is Boniface Gishunge. We are in Meru County and we are doing Hass avocados. Yeah.
So Hass avocados. Yeah. What is the difference between Hass avocados and the avocados that we have kawaida?
There is in terms of quality, the Hass avocado usually has better taste, better keep. So, and it's generally the avocado that is adopted by many for export because of its good qualities.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you talk about Hass avocados, as a farmer, what are the basic things that you need to know before you decide to plant or to farm Hass avocados?
First of all, you need to look at the soils, the climate where you are, and see what really works well with avocados, because they will not work in every type of soil. The avocados need soils that are well drained, and you must also have some good source of water. Yeah, because they are somewhat thirsty.
So the Hass avocados, when you're starting up, do you start with like a seed, or is it a seedling, or how does that go about?
Usually when you start with a seedling, a seed, it will take longer for you to be in production. So most of the avocado farmers will usually start from grafted seedlings, where you take the conventional avocado, which is rootstock, and then you graft it with the Hass avocado or the other any other variety that you would want to take for your particular case. So, and how, when you're planting it, how deep in the ground are you supposed to put this seedling so that you can jua sijaifunika kabisa yenye haita uproot? Of course, that also varies, depending on the soil type. Of course, in books, they say most of the times, you do 2 by 2. That is 2 feet deep. But for our soils here where we are right now in Meru, we're in the lower region. And it's more of a silt formation. So if you go very deep, again, you lose it. You might have issues of waterlogging, where the soil will not drain as easily as you wanted. So you might lose your plants. So for us here, we adopt a slightly, not a very deep planting, but we usually come up slightly. We usually do a 1 foot depth, then we mound up.
Oh, from there now it comes growing. And so when it's down, you put the 1 foot depth. What about the spacing, like between one avocado plant to the other one? What kind of spacing should you consider?
Again, this is, I think it more goes with the farmers. This is specific. There are those who will go with 5, others will go with 6, 7 by 4. But for us here, we've decided to do a different thing altogether. We are doing a 5.5 square. That's 5.5 meters by 5.5 meters. Yeah.
And so when you put that, do you consider also the fact that it may go big and may affect the ones on the side?
Yeah, sure. That is in it's already in consideration as we start. And because of the pruning aspect, the trees have to be kept, when you prune, you determine the size of tree that you want.
Yes.
Over time, of course. Yes.
So when the pruning, does it start when it's just about to like give you the fruits, or at what point do you decide to go for the pruning?
No, that's almost immediately after you are almost 1 meter in height. That's when we start pruning down here. And for our particular case, if you can look around, they look kind of bushy.
Yes.
But it's because of the level of sunshine also here.
Yes.
The heat here is huge. We usually get a lot of heat accumulation here during the evenings. So that's why we try to prevent all those problems by allowing more of the canopy in our bushes.
Yes.
Yeah. To protect the fruits, of course.
Yes. And I've seen that you have also done something like mulching. Why do you decide to go for that? Now
let's maybe from where we start. We are what we'd call conventional farmers, so we are farming sustainably. If you look down here, you can see there's no weeding that has been done.
Yes, yes.
This is on purpose because we want to conserve moisture and we also want to kind of encourage biodiversity that comes with conservation and sustainable farming.
Yes.
So that we reap the benefits that come with this kind of farming. With this kind of farming, because the soil is not exposed, we have all sorts of grasses, all sorts of cover crops planted here so that we retain the soil moisture at optimum levels.
Oh, so it is on purpose that you leave it
Yes.
with all this weed?
Sure, yeah.
It's not all the time you have to weed your farm. Sometimes it's of benefit.
But we usually slash, because when it rains, the weeds will always definitely come up.
Yes, definitely.
So we have to do the slashing. Once it rains, we do the slashing. Yes.
You've talked about leaving the weeds to preserve moisture.
Yeah.
When it comes, considering that this is a very hot place at times,
Yes.
How do you do your irrigation? How do your plants get water?
Currently, though we will automate in future, but currently we are doing a direct watering, where we water it manually. We've not really adopted the drip or the micro sprinklers.
Or the ones?
Yes, the ones that you put just below the tree, a few meters from the tree, maybe a meter from the tree. We've not reached there yet, but it's a work in progress. We'll get there soon. Yes.
So how many times do you have now to water, considering you've not considered those types of irrigation?
This is a huge plantation. We currently are at 40 acres
Yes.
and going. So if you were to water these plants manually, it's like you would take like 2 weeks to complete it all.
To make sure that all of them
Yes,
have
all
water?
of them have water. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's where it now gives you the benefit of the mulching aspect. Because if you mulch it and you water it once, that water is able to span for quite a length of time. Yes.
And so even considering that you're putting in mulching, what about when it comes to fertilizers? Do you use fertilizers on your trees?
No, we are not using fertilizers here currently because we are also somewhat organic. Yeah, we are running away from the use of so many chemicals. That's the same thing we are adopting in terms of fighting the weeds. We are not using any insecticides or herbicides. So that's why we actually go through this form of farming, so that we avoid the use of all these chemicals and such like things.
Oh, so organically, and you've been able to get your fruits to this point. How many years are we talking that you've been able to have this?
This is 3 years. It's an orchard of 3 years currently as we start. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Without, it seems like organic is the way to go.
Sure.
But even with that in mind, remember that they are affected with pests and diseases.
Yeah, sure.
How do you deal with that?
Now, avocado has one major pest, I would call it. Usually the damage that comes with the fruits as they mature, which is FCM. And that we use, we have traps that we usually use to monitor and to also kind of track the events as they move. You also monitor incidences of that. The traps will also take, or maybe we would say, the traps would also capture some of those pests.
Yes.
So that's a method we are using at the moment. Yes.
And when it comes to like diseases, what are some of the diseases that affect the hash of avocado trees, and how do you deal with that?
Well, there are many, but it depends also on the region. Like for us here, the common one is usually what they call root rot, but we don't have that incidence here, simply because we're in a lower altitude area and the temperatures here are always almost high. So we don't have an environment that will really allow the conditions that will accept for the root rot to take effect. Yes, yes.
When you take care of all the fruits like that, this height, at what age does it get to this height?
Now that again depends on the cultural practices, because as a farmer, depending on your soil and how you manure, the vigor or the fertility of the soil will determine how your tree will grow. Yes. So that depends on the farmer's, whatever he does with his farm, and the soil type that he has. Yes.
And does the hash avocados, because the avocados that we're used to, does the hash get to that point?
Yeah, it would get to that point if you just don't manage it That's what we said about pruning.
Yes.
If you don't manage it, it will just grow like any other tree. It will be tall. And looking at the kind of spacing we have, they are about to compete for light if you just allow them to grow naturally, like a forest. So they'll be huge, they'll be tall. Yeah.
So you're telling me, like, if you do not prune this, like, you leave it space in a jar?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Wow, so avocados, they are known to be...
They will grow laterally and also vertically.
So they'll be taller than you. But if you prune, you'll be able to manage it well.
Sure. Both on picking, when you are harvesting, and also on your crop husbandry. Yes.
Depending on how you take care of your crops, that is the height that you will get, depending on the way you treat them.
Yes.
Wow, okay. So I'm learning a lot here about the hash avocado, but you're going to take a short break, and when you come back, we're going to learn when it comes to harvesting, what are the process that you go for so that you can ensure you get the best out of your produce. We'll be right back.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Yeah, avocado. In a quite expansive land here, and he's telling us how he's been able to maintain this for over 3 years now. The orchard is 3 years now, and he has very, very massive trees there of avocados, and he's told us how he's been able to grow them to the height they are at now. But Boniface, when you talk about it being at this size, at what point do you get to harvest, and at what point when you plant your avocados do you get to see the fruits?
Yeah, from where we stand, at our farm level, we are 3 years now, but I can say that at 2 years, we had started harvesting, though not full, not to the optimum. We look forward to having an optimum production in maybe about 5 years.
Yes. But as of now, but you can still harvest even.
Yes, we are still harvesting even now. Yes.
So when you harvest, at what size do you know that this is a good avocado, or it doesn't matter about the size?
It really doesn't matter the size. There's those indicative signs that a farmer would look for, especially one who doesn't have the machines to look for the dry matter content. Would look for a color that is, when they turn usually dark green, that's when we harvest. You know, they are almost mature.
Dark green?
Yes, almost, yeah. But we should not wait again to extend until the time they're almost turning purple, because that time they'll be over mature for the export market target. Yes.
And so the size that we have here on this tree right now, is that like, how long does it have to go now so that you can tell now this is ready?
This is almost ready for harvesting. Actually,
it's almost ready.
Yeah. It's only that it has not picked the right size, but it's ready for harvesting.
Wow. So now that you've talked about the export market, the market for avocado, both for export and locally, how is it?
Currently, the effects of the war, of course, are affecting the markets.
Yes.
Because if you consider late last year, when we were mid-month, like mid-year, like we are currently, the prices were really good.
Yes.
Currently, the prices are not as good as last year. Of course, these are not in the control of any farmer.
Yes.
There are factors beyond any farmer, because Europe is our main consumer of avocados and Asia. And being in war right now, it also affects the demand and supply chains.
And is it quite marketable in the local market?
Yeah. As avocados are still gaining popularity in our local markets, we have our common restaurants using them as the everyday, condiment in maybe sandwiches and stuff like that. Yes. So avocado is gaining entry even in the local market. Yeah.
So, and when you talk about the local market, at what price are farmers selling the hash avocado right now?
That is farmer dependent, but for the current pricing, like I've told you, they have been affected by the war that is happening in Ukraine. So we have all the prices ranging from about 60, 65 all the way to 75 shillings at the current moment.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Per kilo.
That's per kilo.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the hash avocados, what are some of the benefits that we have when you're taking these hash avocados for market and also for personal use?
Yeah, avocado is a good source of many, and it's a very good source of maybe, let's say, oils to start with.
Yes.
And being that it's a highly nutritious fruit, it has really major benefits to the body, as it were. Yeah.
And now that you're saying that Kenya is one of the best exports for hash avocados, is it also helping with our economy as considering that we export to quite a number of countries?
Yeah, no doubt. It's of course when we export, we gain the foreign currency.
Yes.
Which helps us to kind of balance what we export and import. So looking at it in the broader view, it's really gaining this country so much. Yeah.
You're considered one of the best when it comes to this. So when you're talking about the hash avocados, for someone who can't export or even like use for on the table, are there other ways in which you can use avocados, like when it comes to value addition?
Yeah, sure. Usually when we export, it's not really that all avocados will go for export. Definitely you'll get avocados that are spotted that have maybe injuries here and there. All those avocados don't go to waste. They will find their way somewhere in the line of oil production. Avocado oil. And we don't have to export this one too, so that it can be processed outside there. It's already done here. Most of the local buyers who usually export avocados, some of them have the lines that usually process avocado oil.
Also just here in the country, make the oils and even sell them in the market.
Sure.
Wow, okay. That's interesting. I think I would like to buy an avocado oil. It seems quite of benefit. So as a farmer, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're growing these kind of trees, the hash avocado trees?
Well, number one, especially for our region, being that we are in the lowest region of Meru. This is a low altitude area. First, when we started, of course, we had our challenges. The temperatures here are not so sweet for avocado farming. Avocado is supposed to be planted in regions of 1500 plus. We are at 930 around there.
1500 to 900. Wow.
So there's challenges. But again, there are benefits that comes with our low altitude. Though still, as we always say, we say the farmer is usually the best teacher that you can have, because he learns with what he has. So we've had our moments of learning here. We've had our moments of failure. When we came here, because avocado is shallow rooted, we faced challenges. Of watering, first of all, we lost so many trees to overwatering, where it would just soak the soil and just the roots will die.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had that challenge at first. We have also other incidents. Of course, we get some infestations, like pest infestations, of course, which every farmer will face in their region here and there. But majorly, being this is a high temperature zone, that has been our main challenge, that we have to maintain watering and to also keep our trees turgid enough.
a person who goes for hash avocados in the climates that are, let me say, watery, like they have a lot of water, will they produce the same quality of the hash avocados, considering the person in the high altitude areas and the one in the low altitude areas?
Fruits that are usually of this type will need more water for them to put the content that they need. So if you are dealing maybe with avocados on a low altitude and you have no water, you will have the challenge because you produce smaller fruits. The oil content that we are talking about in avocados is all an aspect of how much optimum of all the other elements you have, and water is the key.
Yes.
So without water, definitely you will not be able to produce like someone who is in a cooler region, where the temperatures are cool and the rainfall is enough, maybe if they are rain-fed or they have enough water. Yes.
And considering that they are in the open, is there a chance by which that birds can affect your fruits?
Birds? No. Avocados, has avocado specifically, has a hard shell, the external coating, which really protects it from, it's not really easily injured by external factors, except maybe for those pests that will try to kind of burrow.
Also the hard covering always protects the avocado. Wow, okay, that's interesting. And so considering that with the hard covering and all that, when it comes to the pest, when they decide like to affect the avocado, the fact that they can't go in, they will just be around the fruit, or how they just die off?
Specific pest for the avocado usually will just kind of like bite, because it lays the eggs on the fruit, on the external shell. Just on the indents here. So those ones who might penetrate, that's now where we have damages coming from pests. Yes. But as for other external things like birds or maybe other forms of life, you hardly have incidences. We have a river here, we've not had incidences with monkeys. Yes.
Monkeys are like humans. So when you talk about the hash avocados, are there types, or is it just the one? Are there different types of the fruit that you can use to get the hash avocado, or it's just one?
Hash avocado has its own varieties. I may not name all of them, but it has its own variations also, because even if you look at them, they may not all look at the same in terms of shape. They will vary. There are also, there's lamphas, there's golden, there are several types. Yes.
And here in your farm, we've seen like there's a tree just right behind us that is still flowering, and this one is already producing the fruits. What is the difference between like now a tree like this one and the one that is flowering at the moment? The two can coexist in the same farm, but with on different seasons?
Yeah, sure. And we usually allow these kind of plantings for a reason. Avocado being that it's dependent on pollen for pollination, you find that when you mix two varieties, you might end up improving this variety. Like when we blend it with fuete, we have fuete here and Pinkerton. It also assists in terms of pollination. And also you can see the times of flower formation, they vary. So it's an advantage to the farm. And now the other point we would look at, we have bees, because avocados are basically, mostly they are pollinated by insects. So you want also to have a space where you have bees coming in and finding something just to keep them around, because you don't want a season where you miss bees from your farm. And that's the same thing that pulls us into attracting biodiversity down at the river and at our edges, which we have all around us, where you encourage bees and other insects so that you achieve maximum pollination. Yes.
Okay. So, and I've seen that with the crops that you have, there's nothing else in between. Is it that you're avoiding intercrop, or you can actually go for intercrop?
We avoid it because, of course, there's the work intensity. This being a big farm, definitely the intensity of work will be more. If you are to come and have a crop here, you call for more. Number two, we also don't want to come and encourage a situation where we might want to weed. Because avocados, again, as I said, they are very shallow rooted. If you just lift the mulch here, the roots are just on top. So you want a situation where you will not disturb the soil in any way.
So that is why you're avoiding the intercrop. It will need for you to be there all the time.
Yes, yeah.
But if a farmer was to go for intercrop, what crops should they consider?
For those who might go for intercropping, well, we've tried it in a section here. We usually go for leguminous intercrops. Those that would just act like cover crops.
Yeah, like just on
Yeah,
top.
you could have some bean types, just putting them on the surface. They'll produce, and they will also assist your trees in terms of nitrogen fixation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even as we wind up, Boniface, what advice will you have for a farmer who wants to go for planting hash avocados on their farms, considering if it's large scale or small scale?
Well, I would tell anyone who wants to venture in, let them get in. It is beneficial, and again have the passion of doing it, because for anyone to be a successful farmer, you have to have the passion.
Yes.
So have the passion, go for it. The challenges that you meet depending on your soil type and the climatic conditions that you are in, you just overcome them. But no doubt you should also seek counsel. You should also read, get quality material that will guide you. And we have also extension officers that you can always talk to in our local setups. Yes.
Thank you so much, Boniface. And we hope that we can get to see the fruits of the farm. Well, guys, that is all we had for you here at Kilimo Diaries. But before even I leave, I want to tell you, if you do not love avocados, because I came to learn about avocados because I love avocados. If you do not love avocados, we need to talk. Well, until next time, guys, when you go to another farm, talk to us on 22047 or text us on TV47KE, all our platforms, or Violet Njoki, my personal platforms, across all social media platforms. Until next week, when you go to another farm, maybe another county, see you then.